Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. Another month and we are back with the April 2023 Flesh and Blood Cells data video off of TCG Player. The first thing to talk about this month with respect to Welcome to Rathe, Arcane Rising, and Crucible of War Unlimited boxes, all three took a breather on the price after Legend Story Studio released print run numbers on April 14th. Now, I've stretched out the horizontal axis here to 7 months of data because I just want to point out that going back that far to the beginning of October captures all of the ascent last year into this year, and then this tiny pullback at the top. You know, don't be discouraged about the tiny pullback. It's 10, 15, 20% off the highs for some of these boxes. But if you go all the way back to merely October, most of these things have doubled. Welcome to Rathe has doubled. Crucible of War is nearly doubled. And Arcane Rising is only up a pitiful 60% in that time. So going to the month-over-month data table, of course, I have March box sales, April box sales, and the month-over-month percentage change, followed by March average price per sale, April average price of a sale, and the month-over-month change, and then the total revenue for March, April, and the month-over-month change. And so the one interesting thing here, Crucible of War nearly doubled in boxes sold this month. And I really wanted to tell a story about that involved the release of the print run numbers. But if we come in and zoom into the month, well, up to the day before the print run numbers were released, it had sold 77 boxes. And by the end of the month, it had sold about 145. So it didn't really accelerate the pace of box sales to release those print numbers and finally confirm what I had been saying for a year, which was there is less Crucible of War Unlimited in the world than people appreciated. Legend Story Studios did finally confirm that, but it did not result in an appreciable uptick in boxes sold within the month. Moving on to Monarch First Edition, Tales of Aria First Edition, and Everfest First Edition, I've stretched the horizontal axis back out to 7 months. So again, we can see what has happened to Monarch First Edition over that time period. And think if you were so dumb as to buy this at $100 a box on October 1st, you would only be up a mere 40% today. And this plot here really demonstrates why you have to reach out and catch the falling knife, why you make the most money in the long term as an investor when you do that, and why people who mindlessly parrot that they don't reach out and catch a falling knife, and that instead you should wait for it to hit the floor and then safely pick it up, why they can't do that. No one knew on this day right here that you could step in and hit the market low at $82. Nobody knew that the knife had hit the floor on that day. And instead, what you have to do is buy on the way down, buy and buy and buy. And eventually you'll hit over to this side of the curve and you realize, oh, we bottomed back then in the past. You never know that you've bottomed on the day that you bottomed. So don't listen to people who tell you don't catch a falling knife. They don't know what they're talking about. They think they can predict the future and they're not even smart enough to realize that they can't. So always reach out, catch the falling knife. You'll make the most money in the long run that way. Going over to the month-over-month table for these three products, of course, Monarch sales were down as the prices continued to increase, a mere 29% just from April over March. And taking a quick look at Monarch Unlimited and Tales of Aria Unlimited, we're just going to focus on the month-over-month table here. It looks dramatic, a 720% increase in box sales, but it went from 5 to 41, so I'm not really impressed by that. Monarch Unlimited boxes were flat both in sales and price. Very quickly, we'll look at History Pack Volume 1, the month-over-month sales table, and this one really surprised me, a 90% increase in box sales in April over March. I do not understand this. Legend Story Studios did not release print run information for this. What they released was print run information for the Black Bordered Foreign Language History Pack Volume 1 product. So I am at a loss for why this suddenly spiked up a significant amount in 1 month. Let me know what your theories are down below. And our three current sets, Uprising, Dynasty, and Outsiders. I've changed the horizontal axis here to align the release date of all three products so we can compare them at the same relative point in their respective life cycles. The blue line is something we've talked about before for Uprising. It's from June of last year when it released, and TCG Player was still doing pre-release kits for Flesh and Blood. I don't know why those stopped. it really looks to have hurt sales a lot on TCG Player. The yellow line of Outsiders is our most current set. Today, as I record this, it is 37 days post-release, so the line terminates somewhere around here. And in the last month, it has lost ground to Dynasty, and that's kind of unfortunate for two reasons. One is that Dynasty is a supplemental set, and Outsiders is a full-size regular release. And of course, over time, we should hope that these lines would gain on each other, that the gap between them would grow month to month, and we're not seeing that right now. Looking at the exact month-over-month data, we see a drop-off in Outsiders box sales in April from March. Of course, again, Outsiders is 37 days post-release. It was released, I believe, March 25th, and so it had most of its pre-release period where sales are high, and then its first week of full release back in March. And then the next month, you always expect it to start dropping off as people get their fill of it. So as it starts to plateau over the next couple of months, we'll get a better idea of how it's doing in the long term and whether it can regain a lead over Dynasty. Hopefully it will. And of course, being the most current sets, prices are very flat. The last thing I like to look at every month with these data is the month-over-month table, total revenue for all products added together. So taking the total of these March numbers, the total of the April numbers, and comparing them. The total fab sales on TCG Player in March was $239,000. In April, it dropped to $183,000. So a drop of 24% in April from March's number. Now, most of that, about $40,000 of that, was Outsiders, again, after the initial release spike. Another $10,000 of that $60,000 drop was Monarch First Edition as the price kept going up and boxes were removed from the market. So the rest of it was sprinkled around the other products. So mainly a drop on Outsiders no longer being a hot new product and Monarch First Edition continuing to appreciate. That's it for the April data, guys. Of course, the people who bought last year during the market lows are being rewarded handsomely today for it. In terms of the newer sets for players and collectors, prices are stable, availability is good, and sales look okay. We'd like to see them improve, but they're holding okay for now. If you like this kind of content, consider hitting the subscribe button. And if you don't like it, I don't know why you're still watching this far into the video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Final Trade. Thanks a lot.